should know that we did not intend for the story to be one-sided. We have asked at least 10 people in various Air Force commands to sit alongside of Carl Mollnow and tell their side of the story, and they've all declined, which is why we're sitting here alone together tonight. So tell me what happened after the accident.
After the accident, I started writing letters to all different, and talking to different government agencies. I've written letters to Senator Jackson, Senator Magnuson, Senator Proxmire, Senator Goldwater, President Ford twice.
Telling them
all
that you had forwarded
right.
these hazard reports before and nobody did anything about them?
Right, and in fact that they also violated my rights, because after I turned in the reports and they, you know, sent me off to the psych ward saying I was crazy and all these things, that...
We didn't get that part.
Oh, that's right. Before the accident actually happened, 4 weeks before the accident happened, they told me to, you know, shut my mouth and pull these reports back or they were going to say I was crazy. And of course I said, go ahead. I said, and they gave me a day to think about it. I said, I don't need a day. I got the answer now. And I gave them the answer, and they called me the next day, and anyhow, they sent me to the over to see the psychiatrist. We spent 3 weeks, and he went through one of the best psychiatric evaluation he ever gave, he said. This is Dr. Mitchell down at Madigan. And after 2 weeks, he told me, he says, they're trying to convince me to say you're crazy no matter what happens. He says, I can't do that.
Is he going to testify that in court sometime?
Well, he can't now because he died the 30th of April. In fact, they really didn't, of 1977, he did. And they didn't really start pushing everything that they're pushing now until after he died.
Okay. So he said you were sane?
He gave me an outstanding evaluation.
And then what?
And then the Air Force would not accept it. They said we have to send him someplace else. So they decided, after writing a whole bunch of letters, I wrote the letters to other people, they said they were going to send me down to Texas for another evaluation. Well, they sent me down to Texas, but it wasn't quite an evaluation that they were giving me. They put me in a psych ward, and I was stuck in a psych ward for 3 days. And it wasn't the neatest thing. I mean, some of the instances were kind of funny, but being there wasn't as funny as it is now, you know, looking back at it. But it's still something that should never happen. And
so where are we? I mean, what after that? I mean, aren't you getting any help from anybody? It seems to me that
no.
The senators and the strong congressional delegation from this state, that something like that can't happen to somebody
That's
who's
right.
deprived of their civil rights.
That's exactly right, but they don't want to get involved.
What do you mean they don't want to get involved? When you write a letter to Senator Jackson or to the President or to Senator Magnuson or to a congressman, and they appropriate money.
Yeah, but they don't appropriate money for helping me.
But they appropriate money for the Air Force, for example.
Yes, right
they
now,
call over there and say,
right.
hey, what are you doing? This guy's one of my constituents.
Well,
have they done that?
No, they have never said, Carl Mollnow, come down and prove what you're saying. And I'm ready. And that's what I'd like to see him do, come down and let me prove what I'm saying, because I have tapes, I have all sorts of information. And they have never called me in there. I think they just don't want to get involved because I think they're possibly afraid to find out that maybe it's true, and it is true. So
I've seen a suit that you have that asks for $2 million from probably 30 different officers, major generals down to captains, all kinds of people like that.
It's 13, actually.
13,
yes.
Okay. How many lawyers have worked on your case over the years?
Well, I went to about 5 or 6 different lawyers, and all of them turned me down because they said, well, we don't want to get involved with this thing. We don't have anything against the Air Force. We don't want the IRS after us. We just don't want any trouble. Our kids are in school.
I thought the Bar Association would not allow someone to turn down a case on those kinds of merits.
Well, that might be so, but in actuality, it isn't so.
When was the last time you got a paycheck?
Oh, about 1974.
Okay. Have you had other work since then?
It's hard getting work when they have on paper that you're, out of your gourd. And you walk into somebody, like I walked in here tonight to you. Now, you don't really know if I'm crazy or not because you just met me. And so the employer does the same thing. He says, who is this guy? Looks okay, acts okay, but I'm not sure about this guy. So rather than taking this guy, I'm going to take the guy over here who doesn't have any of those things happening to him.
Do you have a civilian pilot's license?
Yes, I do.
Has that ever been taken from you?
No, it hasn't. In fact, what I've done, I went to the chief flight surgeon for the FAA here in Seattle and told him what was happening and played him a couple of the tapes that I have.
What's on the tapes?
Well, it's these doctors, telling me that I should, pull the reports back. I shouldn't say anything.
How were you able to get those things? Why would anybody let you tape them?
Well, if they don't know that you got a tape recorder on you, they'll say it. But if they knew they had it, of course they wouldn't say those things, and that's the way the game works.
Has your do you have a medical certificate that allows you to pilot a plane?
Yes.
Has that ever been withdrawn?
No, because I took this to the chief FAA medical examiner here in Seattle, showed him the tapes. He called this doctor at his office and asked him a few questions around the tapes. This doctor told things that weren't the truth, and then this FAA doctor said, I'm going to put a little thing in your medical record saying that you're okay to hold your airline transport pilot rating and your medical so that you can fly. And
so if you have those, why can't you get a civilian job?
Because when you go to an airline or anybody that's going to hire you and they see these things on your military record, and they ask you, what have you been doing for 18 and a half years?
Okay.
And
We've got 20 seconds left. Where is this case right now?
Right now, it's no place. The Air Force has stopped giving any information to Congressman Dix. And Congressman Dix never did have a congressional investigation anyhow. It was just a query on hazard reports. And right now, we're just going to wait until March 12th, which is first call, to see if the thing will go into court. And I'm sure that the Air Force is just hoping that it won't, because the Air Force are getting help from all Air Force lawyers, and also the Attorney General's office, Griffin Bell in Washington, D.C., to help these 13 people out of the situation that I more or less have shown that they were doing all the time.
We'll talk to you in a month when that's gone.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Tomorrow night on this program, actress Sue Ann Langdon is here, along with the Chief of the Washington State Patrol, Robert Landon. If you'd like tickets for that show or one of our future shows, you call us at 223-5148, and we'll be happy to set it aside for you. Thanks for spending part of your Wednesday with us on Seattle Tonight.
The message they're delivering is as simple as it's important.